Hey there, everybody. This is Rob Curtis. I am here to do the presentation on eye sequencing. Basically, what are you supposed to be looking at? How are you supposed to focus throughout the match, both as an R1 as an R2? A little bit about me. Here are some of my credentials. I've been doing high school volleyball since 2009. I am also your most recent addition to the ESVBOA board, being elected as a member at large this spring in 2020. Today, I'm going to talk to you about eye sequencing. We're first going to talk about the different types of vision and focus, and later on, we'll talk about when you're supposed to use which. We'll talk about before the play, during the play, and after the play, essentially both as an R1 as an R2. What are you supposed to be looking at, and where is your focus supposed to be tuned in? First of all, what is eye sequencing? Simply enough, eye sequencing, the movement of focus from one area of the court to another in anticipation of the next play. You always want to be ahead of the play the best you can. So that way you can anticipate where that play is going and some possible faults that you might need to call. It also deals with the narrowing or widening of focus during different parts of the play, depending on the different part of the actual play and where you're actually looking is going to make some differences. So let's talk about what that looks like. First of all, you have two different types of vision. You have your central vision. That's the vision when you look directly at things or looking basically straight ahead. That's in your main field of vision. And it can be used to see details as well. Then you have your periphery, your peripheral vision. That simply enough is the rest of your visual field. Areas that are visible, but things that you're not directly looking at. The things on the side, more. So your central is usually right around here for me right now, whereas I know it's a little tough to see with me being on camera, but the peripheral is basically everything else in that field of view. So your central is what you're actually looking at, whereas the periphery are the things that you can still notice. So when we're officiating, you definitely want to go and make sure that you turn your head so you can use your central vision. Don't simply move your eyes. When you turn your head, not only does it help you see the play better, but it also allows others to know where you're looking. There's nothing worse than a coach looking over and saying, "How did you see that? You weren't even looking," when indeed you were, just with a side glance with your eyes. Turn your head, point your nose where you are looking so that others know where you are looking at, what your focus is. It's not a secret that you're looking at rotations before the serve. It's not a secret that you're looking up and down the net during plays at the net. It's no secret that you're looking at the 10-foot line to look for back row attacks. You don't need to go and hide what you're doing. If anything, you want it exposed. You want people to see. And of course, you want to use your central vision because it is better for catching details than your peripheral or side vision. There's also two different types of focus. The first focus is your wide focus. This is what you normally do throughout the day. You have relaxed eye muscles, you have a wide field of view. There's a lot of information that you can take in using a wide focus. However, there are times when you want to go and narrow that focus. This is conscious. This is when you go and start to concentrate to narrow that focus to a small part of your field of view in order to concentrate, in order to find details. And so those are the two different types. And depending on the timing of the play, you're going to want to use the wide focus or the narrow focus. And especially for plays at the net for both the R1 and the R2, you're going to quickly switch between these two. So let's start with the R1, and we're going to go before the play. So before the play, the R1 wants to definitely do a pre-beckon scan before each point. This is the sequence in which I use. I always start to make sure that my server is indeed where the server is supposed to be. I do a quick scan to make sure the line judge and there's no issues with the parents or the crowd or anything, any other distractions. I do a quick scan through the players on the bench. Usually that's not an issue at all, but make sure the players look like they're ready on the court. Make sure no one is tying a shoe or otherwise is distracted and not ready. Check my R2 to see if they are doing any functions like administering timeouts, maybe substitutes, maybe talking with the scorer or talking with the coach. Go back to the other side where the players on the court as well as their bench to make sure I don't see any players moving for a sub or a late timeout by a coach. Quick check to make sure my line judge is where they're supposed to be. I'm hoping that if my line judges saw an issue or a problem, maybe water on the court or something that was to be seen, that they would step away from that corner, possibly wave the flag to get my attention to make sure I don't start the point with some when players or the court isn't ready. And then finally, I go all the way back to the server to make sure nothing has changed, and then back to my R2. And I know this sounds like a lot of motion, a lot of looking. And so, with that, for me, it is put my as I do, I look at my server, I go all the way across, I come back to my R2, my server is ready, back to my R2, and then we go for the serve. It's pretty quick. The idea is that it's you want to find your pace, but you want to make sure it doesn't inhibit the pace of play. But when you do this scan, you want to make sure that you don't look with your periphery. Don't just go and use your eyes to make this scan. Scan with your nose pointed at what you're looking at. Again, let everyone see what you are looking at. Once you're that pre-beckon scan should always finish with the R1 centering on the R2. That's a big word that you often hear is make sure that you center. And that's making sure that your focus comes back to the R2 before you start that point, before you blow that whistle and beckon the serve. Because if the R2 isn't ready, you need to make sure that you notice because the R2 might be again talking to a coach, administering a sub. They may see something or have something on their side of the court that you don't notice, but it's taken away their attention. So you want to make sure that they are focused as you begin each play. So make sure that you end every pre-beckon scan with a look at the R2. That's referred to as centering. During the play, you want to watch the ball. As an R1, the ball is your responsibility. Your eye should be on it most of the time, whenever there is and always when there is contact of the ball with the player, the court, the net, or anything else. You want to make sure that you follow the play with a wide focus. As you do, you can see the movement of the players. You can see and anticipate what player is going to play the ball next. But when that player is about to contact that ball, that's when you want to change from that wide focus to that narrow focus. You want to actually see the contact. Is there a double hit? Is there a catch or thrown ball? Is there prolonged contact? Is there an issue where it might be hitting more than one player? All of these things you need to notice, and the best way to figure that out is by going and doing that narrow focus at the next contact. But once that ball is in the air, you want to move your focus to where the next contact will be. And you want to see that player and see that spot before the ball gets there. As you get more experience, either officiating or playing or simply watching volleyball, you get an idea of how the plays develop. And you have an idea of where the ball is going to go once it comes off the platform of a passer or the push from a setter. You have an idea of where that ball is going to go. And so once that push happens or once that ball goes, follow um, the ball's motion enough to figure out where it's going to go. But don't follow the ball to the ceiling. Don't look up and then back down as that ball is traveling. So you don't want to go, and as that ball happens, you don't want to go and be caught looking at the ceiling as the ball comes down and then coming back up and then back down and then up and then back down. Keep yourself set. Once that ball's in the air, unless it's going to hit, you think it might hit the ceiling or it might land basically right on the net where there might be a joust situation that you really need to anticipate, um, don't look at the ball. Find the next player that's going to play the ball. So as that ball gets passed up, don't follow it up. Find that setter where that ball is going. And this is really important. So the last part that I want to make sure that we talk about in terms of narrowing the focus, the most important contact to narrow the focus is that at the net. You want to make sure that not only are you watching the contact of the player attacking, but also look for touches of the net as well as any touches of the ball by the defender as the ball goes past. But remember, don't linger at that net. Move on, continue to watch the ball. When the play is done, of course, you're going to whistle to end the play. Then remember, with your face, not just your eyes, check the line judges if you need more information. Don't look at a line judge if it is extremely obvious where you don't need information from them, and don't linger on them. Don't look at them and stare for too long trying to pull information out, especially if it's just to confirm what you already know. If you have that big touch, you already have it. It doesn't matter whether the line judges caught it or not. Once you have the information you need, you're going to center with your R2, see if they are providing any information to you, and to see if they made a net call. Maybe they had an issue with somebody under the center line or across the center line, or maybe there's a question about what side a quick block down landed on. Let that R2 give you that information if they have any, and then make your call with confidence. I'll give you this opportunity to pause the video to answer any questions or any discussions regarding the I sequencing for R1s.